Hi, I'm Mark, this is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and let's talk about the Nuki 4. So yesterday Nuki announced the Nuki 4 and Nuki 4 Pro and immediately began selling them instead of the 3 and 3 Pro on their website. And actually for the most part on their site they've dropped the numbering completely, it's just the Nuki and the Nuki Pro. So let's talk about what's new, and really there's only two things to talk about. There's Matter support and there's battery life. So the big one here is Matter over Thread support built natively into the Nuki lock itself. This is actually the first smart lock to offer Matter over Thread built directly into the device itself. What this means is no more need for an external hub. Or rather, you will need an external hub, but it can be something you've already got around your home. So at launch, this is going to be something like a Google Hub or an Apple HomePod or Apple TV. Further down the line, support is coming, so this will also work with Samsung SmartThings and also Amazon Echo devices. And this is expected at some point next year. And at launch, this integration makes the Nuki more affordable, especially for Android users with Google Hubs already, because you won't need to buy an external hub for things like out-of-home access. If you're an Apple user, you could already achieve this with the HomeKit support, so there's no real difference. And actually for Apple users, this is where the Nuki 4 and 4 Pro get really weird. So if you're a fan of Apple, you might have come across Apple HomeKey. Apple HomeKey is basically something you can add into your Apple Wallet, and it will let you open locks using it just like you do with a contactless bank card. The same works on other Apple devices such as your Apple Watch. And as of iOS 17, Apple HomeKey can now work with Matter over Thread. This is obviously great news because it means Apple are making even more things to do with your home compatible with Matter. And like I said, this is where the Nuki 4 and 4 Pro get really weird for Apple users. Because like I said, out of the box, they offer Matter over Thread. This means they connect to Apple Home and whatever you use as your Apple Home Hub using Matter over Thread, yet they are not HomeKey compatible. I even reached out to Nuki to try and clarify this, and they are not HomeKey compatible. Now Nuki have said this is something to do with Apple's requirements for HomeKey, but they haven't gone into any more detail. Now in the past, Nuki have blamed the lack of HomeKey support due to the way Apple HomeKey operates. However, when it supports Matter over Thread, I'm not really sure what's holding it back right now. And actually in a Verge article talking about the Nuki 4, Nuki have said HomeKey is something they're working on. So I guess in theory it's possible, but who knows if and when it's going to come to the Nuki 4. The other odd thing about the Nuki 4 and not the Nuki 4 Pro is that it's launching without remote connection. This is because it doesn't have built-in Wi-Fi. Now this is something that's coming to the base model Nuki 4 next year, but it will require a one-off upgrade fee. And Nuki have said this is going to cost around €39. So all in all, Matter support coming to Nuki 4 is a great thing, but it does feel like it's just not quite ready yet. So let's talk about the second new thing, and that is battery life. Now Nuki say the 4 and 4 Pro both have improved battery life up to 30%. And again, this is where their announcement gets weird because they then say that you will get 6 months battery life out of it. Now when I bought my Nuki 3, it said I'd get 6 months battery life out of it. And actually in practice, I've only just changed the batteries for the first time in my Nuki 3. That means I've had about 8 months battery life out of it, which is great, but I don't understand what Nuki are saying here. Because on paper, the specification for 6 months battery life is exactly the same as the previous model, but apparently it's 30% more efficient. Hopefully that means you'll get even more battery life. So let's finally talk about the difference between the Nuki 4 and the Nuki 4 Pro. And I'm not going to talk about all of the individual features because all of the way that they operate is pretty much the same as the 3. The only difference is battery life and Matter support, which I've talked about already. If you do pick up a 4, you will need to use disposable batteries in it or your own rechargeable batteries. On top of that, it doesn't have a built-in Wi-Fi module, and so you will need to pay that €39 upgrade fee if you want remote connection next year. The Nuki 4 base model does retain the same pricing as the previous Nuki 3 and will cost you £145. Bear in mind you are going to need to spend that €39 on the upgrade later if you do want remote access. So then the 4 Pro, much like the 3 Pro, actually has a built-in Wi-Fi module. This gives you remote access straight away. It also comes with a rechargeable battery pack, which will also give you that 6 months battery life. And again, they've stuck with the same pricing structure, which means the 4 Pro will cost you £245. With the 4 Pro, you will not need that optional upgrade. If you take into account the upgrade fee, the fact that Nuki 4 has built-in Wi-Fi and a rechargeable battery pack, I really don't see who is going to go for the 4 over the Pro now. Because actually you're talking about £50 difference if you factor in that upgrade fee. So all in all, what are my thoughts on this upgrade from Nuki? And if you haven't guessed it throughout this video, it's probably the weirdest upgrade I've ever seen. Nuki have sort of marketed this as a brand new product, but actually it feels much more like an incremental update. And really it feels like they should have called it the Nuki 3.1 rather than Nuki 4, because it is so incremental. And so I guess the question to ask is, well, should you be upgrading your Nuki? And essentially, if you are going from the 3 to the 4, then no. And this is especially true for Apple users because you really do gain absolutely nothing. If you've got a base Model 3 and you're an Apple user, then you already have things like out-of-home access out of the box thanks to the HomeKit support. If you wanted to add in the Wi-Fi connection, then maybe there is a case for going from the 3 to the 4 Pro, but actually going from 3 to 4 is totally not worth it. When that software update comes out next year, it might be something for Android users to look at. However, I don't think there's any case for picking up the 4 when you factor in an extra €39 on top of a £145 initial cost. And overall, I think the Nuki 4 and Nuki 4 Pro are kind of half-finished products. I don't understand why they're releasing the 4 without that remote connection upgrade already there. And I also don't understand why they haven't sorted out this Apple HomeKey issue that people have been talking about for about a year and a half now. If it's something they can fix with software in the future, then I think they should have launched with it. Because in my opinion, they've kind of lost all reasons to buy this over the 3. And so there's not a case for upgrading, there's a case for buying one if you're starting from scratch. And actually, if you're going from the Nuki 1 or 2 or starting from scratch, then it is worth looking at the Nuki 4 and 4 Pro. But with that remote connection fee, I think the 4 Pro is the only one to really be looking at. If you would like me to pick one up and make a review and maybe a comparison video between the 3 and the 4 Pro, put a comment below and I'll see if I can pick one up. If you do want to pick one up yourself, I have put links below where you can find them. Also let me know down below what you think of the upgrade. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel to be first to see new videos when they come out, and I'll see you guys again soon.